You know, we spend massive amounts of time writing job descriptions for mythical creatures that simply do not exist. Then, when we inevitably hire a human being with actual flaws, we spend their entire career trying to fix them. It's time to stop trying to make your people well-rounded and start pouring gas on the fire of what they already do best. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, and wherever you happen to be right now. I'm Mike Voories, here to help you build a stronger team. Today, we're talking about why your obsession with the perfect employee is secretly building a mediocre team, and how shifting your focus to maximizing strengths is the ultimate operational growth hack. Let's start with the unicorn myth and the mediocrity trap, okay? We've all done it. We sit down to write a job description and we outline a unicorn. We say we want someone who's highly strategic and visionary, but also obsessed with tactical, minute details. You know, we demand a fast-moving, aggressive rainmaker who's also perfectly patient and loves filling out endless paperwork. When you attempt to hire someone with zero weaknesses, your hiring process is fundamentally broken. You're looking for a fantasy. Think about the traditional performance review. We bring an employee into the office once a year. We spend exactly 5 minutes praising what they did exceptionally well. Then, we spend the next 55 minutes agonizing over their areas of opportunity, right? We build out an entire professional development plan around fixing the things that they're bad at. This is the mediocrity trap. Here's the core shift you have to make as a leader. Fixing a weakness only prevents failure. It gets you from a negative to a neutral, I suppose. It stops the bleeding, but excellence? Excellence only comes from compounding strengths. If you spend all your time and resources trying to make your people well-rounded, you just end up with a team that's completely average at absolutely everything. Nobody stands out, nobody dominates their role. You just have a roster of people who are adequately competent. Now, before we go any further, let's be crystal clear. Some of you are hearing this and thinking, Mike just wants me to ignore it when my employees drop the ball. Absolutely not. Capitalizing on strengths is not an excuse for low standards. It's not permission to tolerate incompetence. When we look at weaknesses within your team, we drop them into 3 distinct buckets, right? Bucket 1 is the disqualifying weaknesses. If a weakness kills trust, ruins psychological safety, or brings a toxic attitude into your culture, that's not something you manage, you fire them, period. We do not tolerate brilliant jerks, okay? And then we got bucket 2, the developmental weakness. This is a minor skill gap that is actively hindering their core role. If your top salesperson, for example, is great on the phone but doesn't know how to use the CRM software, that's something you coach, right? You train them until they hit the baseline standard. And then there's bucket 3, and this is everything else. This is where the magic happens. For every other weakness, the tasks that they hate, the processes they naturally struggle with, the administrative burdens that drain them, you build a system to make that weakness irrelevant. You engineer it out of their day-to-day so they can get back to focusing on what they're actually good at and what they do best. The offensive strategy is to maximize strengths, okay? Once you stop playing defense and trying to fix everyone, you can finally go on the offensive. Leaning into strengths is the ultimate growth hack for building stronger teams. We have to understand the energy factor. A strength isn't just something you're capable of doing. Plenty of people are capable of doing things that they absolutely hate. A true strength is an activity that gives you energy. When people spend 80% of their day in their zone of genius, they just don't burn out, they catch fire. The operational reality is that energized teams are highly profitable teams. They work faster, they make fewer errors, and they take ownership of the outcome. So once you know what someone is great at, your job as a leader isn't done, it's just starting. You need to pour gas on the fire. Most companies take their training budget and spend it on employees who are struggling. Stop doing that. Send your absolute best people to advanced training for the things that they're already the best at. Take your strongest operations manager, for example, and send them to a masterclass in leadership, right? Take your best closer and buy them elite sales coaching. Give them the most complex, high-stake problems in your business that require their specific genius to solve. You don't build a strong team by cloning yourself. You don't build it by hiring perfectly square blocks. Square blocks just stack on top of each other. You build a powerhouse team by assembling jagged puzzle pieces. One person's inward curve, their massive weaknesses, is perfectly filled by another person's outward edge, their massive strength. You need the hyper-detailed, risk-adverse operator to balance out the messy, fast-moving visionary. That friction isn't a problem, it's the design. So let's talk about the how, the energy audit and the task trade. You can't maximize what you haven't identified, obviously. If you want to put this into practice on your team tomorrow, here are 2 highly tactical tools that you need to deploy. Action 1, the energy audit. You want to have your entire team take a blank piece of paper and draw a line straight down the middle. For 1 entire week, have them track their days. Every time they finish a task that energized them, write it on the left. Every time they finish a task that drained them, have them write it on the right. Here's the critical catch. A task can drain them even if they're technically good at it. I know incredible operators who are phenomenal at data entry, but doing it makes them want to quit their jobs. That goes on the right side of the paper. Action 2, the task trade. At the end of the week, look at those lists as a team. Get it all out on the table. You're looking for misaligned energy. Is there a draining, repetitive task that's currently destroying your visionary leader's productivity? Look across the table. Does your detailed, process-driven operator have that exact same type of work on their energized list? You want to give your team permission to trade, right? Let them hand off the tasks that drain them to the person whose strengths are in a zone that perfectly aligns with it. It costs you $0. It requires 0 new software, and it will radically transform the productivity of your team. We want to be building roles around strengths. At BR1, our core philosophy is quite simple. No organization can grow faster than its ability to recruit and retain enough of the right people. Recruiting and retention issues are almost always leadership and culture issues in disguise. We absolutely do not believe the tired excuse that people just don't want to work, or that the labor market is entirely to blame for our struggles. We believe it is in your company's best interest to become a premier, sought-after employer. And you do that by treating the candidate and the employee experience as crucial. When you build a culture that actively refuses to focus on an employee's flaws and instead aggressively champions their strengths, word gets around, right? Top performers want to work where they're allowed to dominate their lane, not where they're micromanaged into being average. If you want to attract the best, you have to be the best at maximizing what they bring to the table. And if you're tired of losing great people, or if you need help restructuring your hiring process to find those jagged puzzle pieces, that's exactly what we do. We help business owners step out of the daily grind of HR headaches so they can get back to leading. Check us out at businessresources1.com. There's a link in the description to make it easy for you to find us. I want to give you a challenge if you're up for it. Stop trying to turn everyone into a well-rounded employee. Instead, build a well-rounded team. Build roles around strengths. Build systems around weaknesses. And build standards around what absolutely cannot be compromised. I'm leaving you with a specific homework assignment today. In your very next one-on-one meeting with a direct report, I want you to completely ban the phrase areas for improvement. You're not allowed to say it this time. Instead, ask them this one question. What is one thing you did last week that energized you, and how can I clear the runway so you can do twice as much of it next week? Until next time, keep building your stronger team.